Well, I want to start this. Of course, our nation was shocked because there was something about Eli. He dropped down to 44 kilos when he was under the ground in Gaza. And he looked like a Holocaust survivor. And some of the things he shared personally about what happened at the time when he was under the ground there as a hostage in Gaza are so spiritual, and some of them are psychological. What did he say? He said that their normal food, listen to this, on a good day, was a reva pita per day. This is a quarter pita. This is a pita. Let's just look at it just to demonstrate. All right. And this is a half pita. And this is a quarter pita. This is what they ate a day. He was in there with three other hostages. They would throw them one pita a day, and they had to split it up between them. He said they had chains on his feet. He said the first time he got out of the chains in almost 500 days was when they let him out. He was in a metal chain the whole time it was cutting into his legs. He was bleeding in his legs. He was screaming with pain. He only stopped screaming in pain when they got mad at him and kicked him and beat him till they broke his ribs. So he's been there all this time with broken ribs, chains on it. And he said his pain was so great that he actually fainted from the pain. He said when you haven't eaten for so long, your insides begin to collapse. And he said, your mind gets focused that you can't think upon anything else. He said, it got so bad that I couldn't even think about, I had broken ribs and my legs are big. I couldn't even think about it because all my brain could think about is when can I get another crumb of bread? Because your brain gets so focused on starving levels of hunger. You cannot afford to think about anything else. You just have to focus on what you need to do to survive. I think for us as believers now, I'm just drawing some moral lessons from this, spiritual lessons. How much time do we waste thinking about things that we don't need to think about? Because you need 100% of your moral, emotional strength to survive another minute. He said, you can't afford to think. Now I'm saying, let's translate that from survival to faith. We have to focus on faith and don't think things are not faith. Most of the things around us, 100% of things in his environment and all the hostages was anti-faith. All of the survivors had said the same thing. It was only our faith that got us through. Now you realize their faith was, almost all of them are secular, atheist, leftist, kibbutznikim that weren't believing. There was one or two that had a little religious background. But most of them were, what they meant by faith was, and what he said, all I would do, because he could only remember 2 verses from the Bible. One was Shema Yisrael. Can you imagine that? So he said every day I would say Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, Hero Israel, Lord our God, the Lord is one, to say I believe in God. And then he said, I was remembering my wife, so I said Eshet Chayil. You have a virtuous wife from Proverbs 31. He says, well, the only 2 verses I could remember, so I would pray for my wife and said I believe in God. But he said, that little bit of faith, which I did every day, got me through. And we need to learn to faith. We need to be able to focus our thoughts, focus our faith, because this is how we're going to get through difficult circumstances. If you just start thinking about all your bad circumstances or what's not comfortable anymore, you're not going to make it. Guys, beloved, if this man, almost 500 days in hell, comes up, he's broken, he's half dead, and he finds out, he gets out his wife and children have been murdered, and he didn't even know it. And he said, you know what? I'm thankful for the time I did get with him. The history of the people of Israel reenacts the biography of Yeshua the Messiah. Sometimes the people come first and then Yeshua. Sometimes Yeshua comes first and then the people. But he is the king of Israel. What happens to him happens to us. What happens to us happens to him. And so why did he go down to Egypt when he was born? Because the people went down to Egypt first. He had to go back down. Yeshua died for 2 days, came back to life on the 3rd day. We were in exile for 2,000 years, came back and resurrected on the 3,000 year, which everything is parallel. And what happened is that, and our people are about to, we are about to, not Eli Sharabi, folks, all of us, we're about to live out hell in front of the nations. To touch their hearts. Because if this is what happened to Yeshua, it's going to happen to us. And the Bible said, every single prophecy about the end times says all of the nations are going to attack us. Not a little attack from Hamas from Gaza. All of the nations. Was this a bad war? It was bad. The Bible says that 1/3 of the human race is going to die and 2/3 of the people of Israel are going to die, folks. We are going to live out the death, descent of Jesus into hell and the resurrection of him. But God will save us. And this is a testimony to the nations. The last point is this. I know this is a little hard to get, but I want us to pray for this testimony of his. I'm giving the background so we can pray for his testimony. The last thing is this, is God will use the nation of Israel as a testimony to the nations of the world to understand that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is real. And when all of the nations of the world attack us and they get destroyed supernaturally, they'll say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is true. And any honest Muslim in the world is saying that today already. It's clear. And they're seeing that. And this is a testimony. But our testimony is both the suffering and the victory. It's not just the victory. It's too bad. Because the suffering of the innocent is the only thing that changes people's hearts. That's why Solomon took a sword and said to the two prostitutes, "Let me cut the baby in half." The suffering of the innocent reveals what's in the heart. And I believe that when the people hear the testimony of Eli Sharabi, it's going to touch people's hearts around the world.